Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fellowships of the Spirits Fireside Chat this evening. It's a Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there who may be watching us live or on the replay. Tonight, we are joined with Reverend Michelle Paternini, and she is from Jamestown, New York. She is a graduate and a volunteer with Fellowships, and she's back again for another Fireside Chat to deliver us some inspiration this evening. Thank you for being here, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen.
And take it away.
Thank you. So thank you again for having me, Fellowships. I love coming and speaking. And happy Father's Day to everyone. So I believe that intuitives are all of us. We are all intuitive. We come into this world intuitive. I don't believe that it is just a special gift for any particular person. I believe that it is our God-given right. And I believe that we come in on different intuitive levels. So I believe that child mediums come in developed and stay developed. They stay growing, they stay learning. And I believe that when you're not a child medium, I believe that that's when you kind of drop off of being doing mediumship or seeing or feeling or hearing for whatever your soul's journey is, for whatever the reason is that happens. And some people come back and readdress that and have awakening later in their life. But child mediums to me are mediums that came in intuitive on a different level, and they continued to embrace that and grow that and learn. And that is what happened to me. I'm a child medium, and I teach mediumship on beginner to advanced levels. And I also do private mentoring for adults and children for mediumship. And the one thing with child mediums that I always find is that when I'm teaching them, it's bringing back up events or occurrences that happened to me as a child medium and what I went through to handle the situation and my development. And I didn't have what I would say guidance. I didn't have anyone that really understood or was able to support me on my soul's journey as a medium, as a child. So I had to figure everything out on my own. And that's why I mentor children, so they don't have to do that on their own. So I'm there to help them and guide them through that. But what I find is that with children, they know how to stop and be present in the moment. It is natural for them. They don't question it. It's almost like they know that they're learning and growing, and they know they're journeying on to, like, to them probably a destination, like to become an adult. And but what I find is that adults almost forget, and it's almost like they don't know how to stop and be present anymore. And when I mentor adults, it's one of the things that I find that they struggle with the most. And as a child medium, it is one of the things that I think that I have been able to continue into being an adult and not stop, not stop that process of knowing when I need to stop and be present, knowing that it's important, knowing that it is essential in my life. And with children, um, they have like an uncanny way of, like, if they see an animal or if they see something that catches their eye, they stop, be present, focus in, go over to it, assess it, you know, like, process it in their own way. What is this? How is this? They start asking questions about it. They just have a different method of learning. And adults have a hard time doing that. We are all in a constant state of evolution, both as an individual and collectively. And so we were always learning. And as adults, we forget that. We think that we've already done that. We're already here. We're already adults. We already have our big boy and girl pants on. So we sometimes forget to stop and be present and learn, and that it's important. We don't want to miss out on all those teachable moments, those events that present themselves to us. We don't want to accidentally have a message or a guidance go by us. And in my classes, I constantly point out what we can do to be more present, and what we all go, you know, through to kind of learn some exercises for it. So I want to give you some examples of things to help you to be more present in your life, to help you. If we understand what is occurring on a deeper spiritual level, this will assist us in coping with our day-to-day experiences in life. And we can take those cues from those children, because if we watch them, we can remind ourselves what it actually looks like to be present. So I want, I'll talk about a quick example of a time when I had to be present, and those small things that end up being big messages. So I like this example because it happened when I was at fellowship, which I love being at fellowship. And Karen and I were just talking about the energy of fellowship, which is amazing and beautiful and loving and warm and so happy. So I was up there taking a class, and it was a class that I really was excited about. I really wanted, really was ready and excited to enjoy what I was going to learn from this class. And I take what I do very sacred, and very serious about what I do. So I like to stay focused. I don't play with my phone or do anything like that. And for some reason in this class, I couldn't stay focused. And I really didn't know why. I wasn't playing with my phone or anything, but I just couldn't pay, like, what I was hearing. I wasn't retaining it. So I knew something was going on. And because of being a child medium and learning how to be present on a daily basis in my life, and it's something that I excel at, I knew at that moment that something was going on and I had to address it. So when I feel something is off, or feel something's different, I will start questioning it, like, what is going on around me? And this is me stopping and being present, that is making me unfocused. And I kind of looked around, and it wasn't really anything specific. So it was some kind of energy that was making me unfocused. So I couldn't pinpoint it to change it or make it, better. So then I said, okay, this is what I would teach my class, that I need to then ask God and spirit and the universe to help me. So I asked God if you could help me stay focused. This class is important to me. Help me to retain the information that I need for my highest and best for this class. And it guide me on how to do that. So then the next thing to do is to listen, because I've asked for guidance, I've assessed the situation. So now I need to listen and be present to what guidance I'm given. So I did that. And about a minute later, they decided to take a break. So, of course, that's not a coincidence, right? So God, spirit intervened and said, it's time for Michelle to take a break. And it was the middle of winter. And if you know the winters up at Fellowship, you know that they can be harsh winters. But it was pretty cold outside. And I knew that I needed to go outside in this break to ground myself. I like to be out in nature and the air and the energy outside to help ground myself. So I went outside, and I'm still being present with spirit. I'm still listening and waiting for that guidance. And I just was guided to go across the street where there's the lake, but there's a little patch of woods back there. And there's a path that a lot of people will go and walk on. So I decided in the middle of the winter to go on this path. I knew I only had 10 minutes for our break. So I went on this path, and I was still being present, and I could feel spirit with me. I could feel God with me. And all of a sudden I heard stop. So I stopped dead in my tracks. And then I heard step off the path. So I took that literally, and I took a giant step to the left off the path. And in the middle of winter now, I'm like in between trees, but there's no leaves. So they're like the trees are empty. So I can see the sky, and they say look up. So I look up, and it's just a cloudy winter day. No, I'm seeing branches. That's all I'm seeing. And then all of a sudden I got a sense that I was in the wrong direction looking up. So in this class that I was taking was all about our sacred space, and we were learning about our north, south, east, west. And I knew that for information that I personally, as a Taurus, was supposed to look to the north. So I did. So I turned my body, stood in the same spot, turned my body, and looked up to the north. And on a branch, like we're in the middle of winter, right? On this branch was this blue jay feather just floating on this branch. How it was there, of course, was divine intervention. And I picked, and it was like right here. It wasn't even like way up high. So I picked it up and I looked at it and I said out loud, is this for me? Like I was so humbled by it. And I heard that you learned a lesson. And I knew at that moment that I was going to get a feather, like a gold star sticker when you do something good, every time I learned a lesson or any time that I had strong growth spiritually. And I was overwhelmed with like, gratefulness that that happened. And at the same time, I thought, wow, I'm that was because I stopped and was present with a situation that was going on. It wasn't anything big. I was just not focused, right? But it was something important to me. And I learned a lesson and I got a feather. And from there on, I've had feathers everywhere. Anytime something major happens to me, something that's important going on in my life. So, somebody said to me on Friday, and Mark Thomas, if you're listening, like I've told Mark before that like I always have something planned to talk about, and then like 2 days before I'm about to speak up here at fellowship, it'll all change because like all these events happen like 3 days before, and I chuckle because that's what's supposed to be. But on Friday, somebody said it's the small big things, and she kept saying it. Like we were having like a conversation. It was somebody I didn't know, and she kept saying it's the small big things. And to me, that's almost like what being present is about. It's may seem small at the time to be present with it and to go, but look at the big picture. Look at the big message that I got. It actually started a journey with me of lessons and learning and growth and validation for me. It was amazing. So, of course, Thursday, something also happened again. And there's a Thursday I had to stand in my truth. And I've been working on something for months that it's been a long journey for me, but I had to be very present with my words on Thursday in who I am now and what I want now. And I had to fight for what I'm worth and what I deserve. And I was nervous about it. Those are strong words to have to talk about, especially when you're talking about your own value and showing your worth to somebody. And I was nervous that after I was done with that, that I was maybe, too strong. I was presenting that, or, I was still doubting that maybe it wasn't even enough, or that I had done it wrong. So I was nervous, right, about that situation. And this was this Thursday. So I left for lunch that day, and I was about a block and a half down from my building for lunch. And I just, had these very strong words about myself and what I was worth. And I'm driving a block and a half, there's a light, and I stop at the light and I look across the street as I'm waiting for the light to change. and I see something like doing this, like floating like slowly, and it was large down like to the ground, and I thought it was a bird, and I but at that moment, these are the moments I'm talking about. Like, I know from years of training that that's a moment that I need to focus in on. Something is happening. Whereas I feel like a lot of people pass those moments by and they don't even, it's like, oh, something's falling, they don't care. It looks like a leaf, and they're off looking at something else. I know to be stopped. Like, I still have that child mentality that I need to stop and focus in on that. So I watched this feather slowly glide to the ground. And it gets to the ground, and I realize I think that was a feather. And then I can still feel an energy with it. So I look in. The ground looks funny. So I'm looking at the ground. I'm like, then I like focus out because I was only focused in on that feather at that moment. So I focused out, and all of a sudden I could see thousands and thousands of white feathers. And I was blown away, first of all, that that was even happening. And if you can hear, like, we're having a rainstorm right now, so it's hailing here. But there was like thousands and thousands and thousands of feathers in this one little lot. I mean, first of all, when does that happen, right? And feathers are like my jam, right? So it was like, holy cow, this is so beautiful. So I started crying. I could feel the energy with it. And I stopped and said, okay. So I stopped and was present with it. And I was assessed the situation. And now I know, okay, what happened right before that, that they would give me a feather or thousands of feathers. And then I remembered my words. I stood in my truth. I stood up for myself. I fought for myself. So how important was that for me? It was so important. And it was a small, big thing. Just like she had said, it was a small thing that was a big thing. And these are those moments, like I said, if we understand what is occurring at a deeper spiritual level, that will always assist us in coping with our everyday to day thing. Because I was still nervous about it. And after that, I was fine. Like, I was like, it's almost like they knew we have to give her 1,000 feathers for her to be okay and release this. And I did. I released all that burden of being worried about it and stressing over it. And I was fine. And would you know, the next day, Friday, when I left that building, I was the last to leave the building. And I opened the door, and right on the ground in front of me was one giant white feather. So if you don't think Spirit is constantly trying to give you messages, constantly trying to guide you, constantly trying to let you know that they're there for you and that they love you and that they're all you need is to reach out to them. Like, there are a validation in if we can stop and listen and be present on a regular basis. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. You know, uh, are we as adults listening enough? Are we asking enough questions? Are we asking ourselves what's going on right now in this moment? Are we being present enough? Are we looking around and stopping and say, wait a minute, what do I feel? What do I see? What do I smell? All our clairs, what's going on right at this moment? And you will notice, if you try and do this on a daily basis, you will start to notice those signs, those messages, those divine interventions, and they will help to guide you in your life. And they don't have to be huge, like you think about what's been going on with COVID globally. That's a shift in our consciousness, but that's what being present is. COVID has, if we take the best from that, it was helping us to look at ourselves differently, go within and find, where we had to look at ourselves, we had to be present. I always say, if God wants you to do something and you can't do it on your own, he'll help you. He'll push you. If you're in a toxic workspace and you get fired, it's because you couldn't leave on your own. It's because he needed to help you. And if we can be present, more present, like in other cultures and other countries, there's in Thailand, they literally will like take a blanket and like just throw it on the ground and sit there. They know how to be present. They know how to stop. If you have watched the movie Eat, Pray, and Love, in Italy, they told her, Americans don't know. They work like super hard all during the week. And then by the weekend, they're exhausted and they're almost like zombies and vegetables in front of the TVs because they don't know how to every day stop and be present and stop and just listen and watch and hear and smell and feel the energy, feel those vibrations. If we don't stop ourselves and allow ourselves to do that, we we won't get the assistance and the guidance that is there for us. So I hope that you can, watch a child, watch them, our grandchildren, our children, our nieces and nephews, watch those little children and watch how focused they are. Watch how present that they know how to be. And let's learn from them. Let's continue to watch them and remind ourselves what it means, what it actually looks like to be present. It's a beautiful, loving thing. So thank you again, fellowship. I leave that with everyone with love and blessings. And God bless everyone. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful week. And thank you again, Karen.
Thank you, Michelle. That was beautiful. I looked around. I usually have a blue jay feather on my desk. It's a special spiritual sighting for me. And I looked for it and I don't see it. I moved my desk and things around, but you reminded me of that person. So that was very significant
That's awesome.
of that. So thank you for that. And definitely very inspirational. So thank you all for joining us, and we hope to catch you next time. Please join us on YouTube or on Facebook every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern for our Fireside Chat. Thanks and have a great week.